In this video, we're going to look at the writing process, and in particular, at how what we want to say is often changed or refined by the process of writing it down. Writing makes us understand better what it is that we're thinking about. Experienced writers are more aware of this fact than inexperienced ones, and they use it to their advantage in the writing process. So writing and thinking are related. In fact, writing is a kind of thinking on paper or on a computer monitor. What do I mean by that? We write words to communicate our ideas, but we also use words to create ideas and to understand them better. When we put ideas into words in the writing process, it sharpens the thinking and the thoughts. We expand our ideas, we drill down, we throw away some ideas, we discover new ideas and new connections between ideas. We find conflicts and contradictions in our thoughts that we may not have recognized before we tried to express them on paper. Of course, that doesn't apply to something like an email to your credit card company because of a mistake on your bill, but it does apply to a lot of other kinds of writing. College papers, a business plan or a marketing plan, a legal brief, a technical article, and it also applies to fiction, where a writer can, for example, gain a better understanding of a character that he or she has created, of an event, and the cause of his or her interest in the character and the event. Now, the words and ideas thing is not unique to writing. The same thing can happen when we're having a spoken discussion with someone, and it's interesting to note that we sometimes call this thinking out loud or bouncing ideas off people. But speaking is not as intensive as writing. When ideas are expressed in speaking, they are not as precise, as tightly fitted together as they are in writing, and as readers, that we expect them to be in writing. As editors know well, a transcript of spoken remarks, no matter how clear and concise they seemed in the hearing, can be fuzzy in the reading. The novelist E.M. Forster remarked that he couldn't know what he was thinking about political issues, that happened to be what he was referring to when he made this quote, until he saw what he said. In other words, he'd have to write it first, see it on paper. Well, why does Forster or any other writer care about this? What's the benefit for writers? Well, there are several. One is recognizing that our ability to express an idea reflects how well we understand it. Sometimes when writers are not getting words onto paper, or their words are rambling, the problem may not be in the composing so much as the thinking. They don't yet understand their content and their audience well enough to write well about it. But they may think that it has something to do with the writing rather than the thinking. But that is not an idea that Albert Einstein would have gone with. He recognized that if you can't say something simply, you don't understand it well enough. But lots of people believe that they can say, I know something, but I just can't explain it. Well, we're rightfully skeptical of such people. That person is not likely to understand the idea as well as someone who can find the words to express it. And it can also be a kind of excuse. It can cause people to procrastinate, to complain about writer's block, like they have to wait for some divine moment of inspiration or creativity. And that's simply an illusion. Instead, writers may need to back up before they begin composing words. If they don't have a good grasp of their material, it will show when they start writing about it. So think about how well you know and understand what it is that you want to communicate, and recognize that you may, after writing, end up in a different place with your thoughts and ideas than where you expected to be when you began writing. And another key concept that's well understood by experienced writers, they rely on revising. If what you are writing is not what you want, keep on going. It may be easier for you to get a rough draft going later and return to it later to revise it, when it's easier to stand back and see ways to move parts around to connect the dots differently, to add and remove some dots of thought. Experienced writers spend a much larger percentage of their time revising than inexperienced writers do. More time revising drafts than composing drafts. So the wrap here is that experienced writers recognize that the writing process develops their ideas. If they're not making progress, they are more likely to know if the difficulty is in the writing or in the thinking. And then they revise. For more on writing tactics and creating your own style, visit the resources at the website, www.writingtacticsandstyle.com. In particular, there's 2 articles there related to the content of this video. The one is entitled Writing, Reasoning, and Mental Athleticism, and the other is The Refined Palette for Revision. Get beyond the rules and aim high.